What's going on, folks? Ted from Immersion here, and we have some big news in the world of TTRPGs, virtual tabletops, and DrivethruRPG slash the DM's Guild. If you recall, was it 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago at this point, an announcement was made that Roll20 was going to be partnering with the DM's Guild to provide some sort of collaboration where if you made PDFs, it would be easier to get things in Roll20. To me, it was never fully clear what that was exactly going to look like. However, today we got the announcement that Roll20 is now going to be partnering with OneBookShelf, which is the parent company of DrivethruRPG and the DM's Guild. So they sort of have taken, and I wonder if that DM's Guild partnership sort of opened the door for further conversations, and now we are here where we are. So a tweet was put out earlier today. Let me pull it up here for you. It was, about 3 p.m. today. 3 p.m. today. So we can see it right here. We're leveling up. Roll20 and OneBookShelf, aka DrivethruRPG and the DM's Guild, are joining forces to create innovative digital tools and seamless tabletop gaming experience. And they have a big, long article here that we can read through, and maybe we will, which talks a little bit about what to expect. But we have the official press release from Triple Point PR, which is sort of the PR company that basically breaking this news. And I'm not sure if they're the PR company for Roll20, DrivethruRPG, or both. I also have an email from the folks at Triple Point, which was going to kind of distill it down into 3 major bullet points. So I'll start with that, because if you do decide that you don't want to stick around for the rest of the video and you want to just get the highlights, these 3 bullet points are really going to put it into perspective for you. If you want a little more detail, hang around. So it says, Roll20 announced it's joining forces with OneBookShelf. What does this mean? In the coming weeks, the joint venture will add PDF support to Roll20's virtual tabletop, so users can upload, read, and share immediately using any PDF in the virtual tabletop. So if you have something that you bought on DrivethruRPG or the DM's Guild, you'll now be able to just gain access to it immediately and have your players see the full PDF within Roll20. At a later date, the joint venture will also make OneBookShelf PDF libraries fully accessible. So you could share PDFs specifically. This will then, in theory, this new will give you access to the full library that you have within Roll20, ensuring that OneBookShelf PDFs will not count towards Roll20 storage quotas. Now, they did say that that's going to take some time because you obviously are limited the amount of storage you have on an account based on the level of Roll20 account you have. But basically, I mean, I have hundreds, if not thousands, of titles between DrivethruRPG and the DM's Guild, and then I would have them all, I could just access them at any time in Roll20, which is pretty cool. And lastly, no products, licenses, or ownership will change hands. Users and publishers retain their ability to buy, sell, play, market their products under this venture with multiple additional features to come. Now, that's still going to be subject, I think, to things like how DM's Guild, if you publish things there, you're subject to certain things through WotC, that'll probably still be in effect, but you still get to maintain your kind of control over it. So let's see what the official press release says. It says OneBookShelf manages 11 commerce markets, most notably DrivethruRPG and the DM's Guild, is a premier online vendor for the TTRPG industry. This change forges an unprecedented alliance of industry expertise in the TTRPG space, fusing more than a century of combined executive leadership with publisher and community relations to create the best tabletop platform experience. TTRPG publishers and creators can now easily easily reach audiences in the virtual game space where they play most often, allowing customers to seamlessly find, share, and play their favorite games. This joint venture brings together a total of 40 technical wizards dedicated to improving product, code, and user experience. In the coming weeks, the new entity will add PDF support to Roll20's virtual tabletop. What we just talked about. At a later date, it will expand. We talked about that. Joining forces with OneBookShelf creates the best place to purchase, peruse, and play TTRPGs online, period, said I think it's Ankit Lal, is the CEO of Roll20. Since 2012, Roll20 has been the industry leader in virtual tabletop gaming, hosting content from some of the biggest publishers in the space, including Wizards of the Coast, Paizo, and Chaosium. With this deal, we can gain significant progress on several of our user promises that dramatically improve the virtual tabletop, and will work together to continue adding new and exciting features to our already industry-leading platform. Our mission from the get-go has always been to make it easier for publishers and creators to reach a wider audience of role-playing fans, says Steve Wieck of OneBookShelf. By combining forces with Roll20, we empower gamers to make present game makers, sorry, to present content across a wide variety of formats, whether character creators, virtual tabletop, digital editions, or print. Customers will be able to support their favorite games in any format they desire with one economical purchase that will be able to use their content on role-playing's most trusted platform. Following the closure of the deal, Ankit Lal will continue as CEO, having been promoted from president of Roll20 in January 2022. He brings 14 years of experience, strategy from a variety of different locations. Steve Wyack will join Roll20 governing board and executive team. Moving on. Roll20 partnering with OneBookShelf is the latest move under Ankit Lal's leadership to help realize a new vision for the platform. Since Lal assumed the CEO position, they've added highly demanded features, including dark mode, one-way barriers with dynamic lighting, and updated compendium sharing. The platform's performance-improving initiative, Operation Firebolt, has reduced in-game load times by 57% and boosted launch speeds by up to 50% for almost all games. Over the rest of 2020, Roll20 can look forward to continued virtual tabletop improvements, faster dice results, more dynamic lighting updates, improved character creation and character sheets, and more. So that was the press release. This is the article, the blog post on Roll20's website that kind of talks through it. This does go into more detail. So before we dive into the detail, though, I wanted to talk a little bit about what was said there, because I can see this is definitely a good move on Roll20's part, for sure. Roll20 is one of the longest, if not the longest running virtual tabletop that is basically at its base level accessible for free. Now, your storage will run out very quickly if you don't have an approved account. And yeah, I'll be honest with you, I don't really use Roll20 at all. I did use it pretty heavily back in the day, but I've kind of gotten a lot more comfortable in my DMing shoes to be able to theater of the mind things. Sometimes I try to use a map, but I might just send the map to the players and say, here's the map. It is what it is. But I feel like I don't really use Roll20, and some of the issues that were mentioned seem to be addressed, which was load times and things like that, which were issues that I'd experienced in the past. But I wonder what this means for the TTRPG space at large. This is a pretty big move on Roll20, getting access to basically two, if not the largest digital platform for publishing content in all RPGs, not just Dungeons & Dragons, and now they're a direct partnership. Now, what that means exactly, I think, is still being hashed out. It did say, obviously, there's the ability to share PDFs directly in Roll20, and at some point you will be able to have your entire library available to you. Now, what does that do necessarily for the creator? I'm not sure. So if I make something on the DM's Guild or DrivethruRPG, how does it appear in Roll20? Do I need to do back-end coding on my end to make that happen, or does it just happen seamlessly? I'm not sure. But I also wonder what sweeping effects this will have for other RPG of our virtual tabletop companies, things like Fantasy Grounds, Shard, and Foundry. I'll be honest with you, I'm not really familiar with the other three that I just mentioned. I know Fantasy Grounds a little bit from years and years ago, but I've seen a lot of folks come out and say they prefer these newer platforms because they provide some option that they prefer more than they prefer Roll20. Is this going to change their mind? Is this going to have those other companies shaking in their boots because this is a big move on Roll20's part? I don't know. I mean, the DM's Guild and DrivethruRPG also come. They say there's not going to be any license changes, but the DM's Guild is the largest place to get homebrew and third-party published D&D content that can gain access, and the benefit of that is it gains access to more of WotC's IP that you couldn't use in the open gaming license. I don't know what this means. I'm curious what your thoughts are. Are you excited about this move? Do you think this is going to ultimately be a bad move in the long run because it'll maybe hamper some of the other virtual tabletop companies? Or do you think they're going to maybe try to come out swinging with some other move? Who knows? All right, let's go back to this longer article here, right? So it says in the coming weeks, we'll add it. They're showing a little preview of how the PDFs work. Right, so it shows uploading, virus scanning the PDF, processing, and there's the PDF. You just click on it, and basically you have your own little viewer window to view an entire PDF just within the confines of Roll20, which is pretty cool. So it says, again, eventually they're going to have the access where you can create folders and have access to all of your files in Roll20, but that's going to take some time. It's on their roadmap, but that's a big move, so it's going to take some time. So best-in-class marketplace, right? Combining Roll20 with DrivethruRPG's new marketplace will offer users a high-quality experience while perusing a massive catalog of hundreds of thousands of TTRPGs. So users on Roll20 can now look forward to new game content discovery connected seamlessly to the virtual tabletop. There's a little preview of that there. Let's see. They provide innovative digital tools for every GM and player. As the newly designed DrivethruRPG marketplace and the Roll20 platform become more closely integrated, we'll be able to offer users all of the advantages of the biggest and most accessible virtual tabletop platform, plus the quality of life benefits that a new store design, industry veteran staff, and our huge catalog of content can provide. Improved store functionality embedded seamlessly into the Roll20 virtual tabletop means publishers and content creators will gain access to a wider audience of GMs and players right in the game space where they play those games. So again, you'll be able to see things from the DMs Guild or whatnot, as you can see here, within Roll20's marketplace, it sounds like. I am still, again, curious how, if I make something on the DMs Guild or DrivethruRPG, how does it get to Roll20 aside from this concept of like, if I have my library, I have it there. Am I able to create? I don't know how to create things, and maybe that's just my ignorance of not knowing how to do it, but I want to know what it's going to do for me. All right, maximizing reach, that makes sense. Hybrid PDF conversion with PDF libraries coming. Creators will drastically reduce the friction of bringing their content to life in the virtual gaming space. This is what I'm talking about. Adding direct PDF access means that publishers shave hundreds of hours from their conversion process, bringing their content to the market in a fraction of the time previously required. Supplement those PDF offerings with map packs, character art, and so on. So that's kind of what I'm curious about, because like, let's say I make a trinket table that I put out on the DMs Guild that people can buy. It's a D100 trinket table. I would like that to be a functionally rollable table in Roll20 so that it has that usability as well, rather than people just having to roll and look at it. You can roll and it'll spit out what the item is or something like that. That seems like it's kind of getting there, but I think I still have to do the coding, which I'm not saying that it should just do it for me. I just would like to have a better understanding of the process. And, you know, if I put out something on the DMs Guild and somebody buys it through DrivethruRPG, I assume that they get the PDF from the DMs Guild, and then it's obviously available to them in virtual tabletop form on Roll20. What is the sales? Do I get more if it's through one or the other? I'm curious how that works as well. And basically, yeah, they're just a bunch of industry veterans gonna do a lot of awesome work. So I'm curious, what are your thoughts about this move? Like I said, it's a very big and smart move from Roll20. It'll also help bring more people to the platform. More people may potentially be buying upgraded memberships, subscriptions to the Surface, which will also then allow them to do and execute more on some of these things they're trying to do. I will say I feel like Roll20 is largely, at least to me, it feels largely the same as it did 4 or 5 years ago. But I haven't really fully gone in and played around with things. Perhaps some of these new updates are, the load times alone, changing that and decreasing load times is a huge improvement. So maybe this is what the future is going to hold. And again, with WotC doing things like buying D&D Beyond, and the fact that there are so many different like API apps that people use to have D&D Beyond character sheet access in Roll20, it seems like it's all kind of going WotC's way. But I don't know. What do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and I'll see you all next time.